Hello, everybody. Welcome to the True Life News Show. Today, we called it everyone, and now they're being exposed within the Trump administration. Guys, we're not talking about the Democrats. We're not talking about people outside of the Trump cabinet. We're talking about internal in the Trump cabinet, guys. We have some bombshell breaking news. I hate it because, our president, Trump's trying to get things done. Elon Musk is trying to get things done. And now we found all this evidence. Lots of things are being dropped today with not only delaying Trump's agenda in Congress, but also hiding evidence, files, delaying the release of the Epstein files. Guys, we have insider news from one of the biggest bombshell newsbreakers out there, guys. We're talking about James O'Keefe. We're talking about Alex Jones that have come out with some bombshell news that right now, one of the two big stories that's about to be dropping today and tomorrow, that there is a cover-up within the Trump administration over the Epstein files and who is included in those Epstein files. They put out a show today. Alex Jones literally said that he made some calls and told his crew over the weekend he believes it's Pam Bondi. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Guys, this is big. This is our attorney general who's supposed to be actively enforcing the law in the legal matters for Trump, but now we may have news with what I'm about to show you today, guys. This is really big, that she may be in part with her team in the cover-up of the Epstein files. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Remember, we were supposed to get these on day one. Remember, they were supposed to be released months ago. We have nothing yet. We also have where, again, there is talks now. Mike Johnson and some of his team are delaying Trump's big reconciliation bill. So they just came back from a 2-week vacation, everybody. And now they're about to take a 4-day weekend, 2 more days off. And again, the talks keep coming up. Why aren't things getting done? It's getting so bad now that even Representative Thomas Massie said that the House leadership just canceled votes originally set for this week. They elected to take an extended weekend vacation, but they were supposed to vote on things this week to cut the wasteful spending found by Doge, and now that's not going to happen. Certain executive orders were scheduled to be voted on and passed this week to codify Trump's agenda, but those votes were quietly canceled. Where there is smoke, there is fire, everybody. And right now, we got fire coming from the Attorney General Pam Bondi over these Epstein files. We have fire coming from Mike Johnson and his team over not being able to get anything done. And we're thinking, we voted you to get in there and fulfill Trump's agenda, and it's not happening. Also, the Senate, think about this, guys. The Senate GOP leadership just called out today the House leadership in GOP, saying they're not being serious. They're not being nearly aggressive enough on codifying Trump's spending cuts and his executive orders. So everybody is jumping in, guys. Everybody's coming in, calling everybody out, saying what the heck is going on with these Epstein files, the JFK files, with Mike Johnson and his team, and not being able to actually get bills to the floor to be voted on to codify Trump's executive orders. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. We got a ton of breaking news to jump into today. This is huge. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, guys. Thank you so much to our subscribers, our viewers. We could not do this without you. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family, guys. We want you here at the True Life News family. We want to serve you every day with the top news, and want to say thank you to everybody that has given a super chat donation or is a member of this channel. Remember, we use that money and we give on the 22nd of every single month live on stream to these local charities. And thank God we have already, guys, we're changing lives. We've already given over $33,000 in the past 7 months through your support, and we want to keep it growing. And if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, again, I want to reiterate, we have evidence that Pam Bondi and some of her team may be actively hiding evidence over the Epstein files. Mike Johnson has just canceled votes this week to delay codifying Trump's executive orders again. We have evidence now that the Senate GOP is calling out the House leadership, saying they are not getting things done and they're delaying things. They're not being nearly aggressive on codifying Trump's executive orders. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, because this is getting deep. We're not only exposing the Democrats, but we're exposing the rhinos in the GOP. Check this out.
Fox and Friends weekend co-host Charlie Hurt joins me now. All right, Charlie, pretend you're a Democrat donor and you just donated millions of dollars to Kamala Harris's campaign, and she shows up at the Met Gala. What would you say?
I'd be furious. But of course, you can't apply normal logic to these people because it's a big cartel. You asked a great question. Why does it, like an NFL football team knows what they did wrong Monday morning? And you're exactly right, because they're paid to win. Washington, politics is a totally different deal. Everybody is stealing at the trough. There's too much money at stake here. And Democrats can't say what went wrong, because then they would have to admit everything that they're the problem. And then the only solution is for them to leave. And if they leave, they walk away from billions and trillions of dollars. The only town that doesn't know the difference between $1 billion and $1 trillion. And by the way, when you do go broke, you just start printing more money. And that's why people like Nancy Pelosi stick around until they're into their 80s, because they can never admit that they're wrong, and they will never leave the stage, because that's where the trough is.
That is such a brilliant point. If they're the problem, then they have to leave. Them leaving is the solution. And they can't do that because there's too much money floating around. Charlie, you're looking at the screen. We had a woman with purple hair, crocodile glasses, and more rings on her finger than Bill Belichick. After how many titles?
She lives in a toadstool, I think.
Right. And she's yelling at Kristi Noem, who kind of has it together. I mean, if that screen kind of tells the story of where we are now, I don't know what else does.
Yeah. And if you actually listen to them, just, the split screen is kind of amazing. But if you listen to what the two of them are saying, Kristi Noem is talking about a real issue, a real problem about keeping families together. DeLauro is talking about wanting to separate children or something. I don't know what she's talking about. But that was a really bad thing just like 10 minutes ago. But you're talking about very serious people engaging in debate with fundamentally unserious people who are there only for their own benefit and not to solve any problems. And by the way, not only do they never want to leave town, they also never want to solve a problem. Because as long as Democrats have problems, then they can raise more money from that poor sucker who gave all that money to Kamala Harris, who has to now watch Kamala Harris go to the Met Gala. They don't ever solve problems because the problems are the golden geese. They keep laying the golden eggs. They keep them in power and allow them to raise all this money. And
guys, and again, too, I'm showing you guys, it's not just on the Democrat side. On both sides of the aisle, right here, Congressman Thomas Massie says that the House leadership has canceled votes originally set for this week to cut wasteful spending found by Doge. But guess what? Mike Johnson just announced this morning, we're going to take an extended holiday this weekend. We know it's Mother's Day, so we're just going to take 2 extra days off so that people can go be with their mothers. Well, guess what? You just came back from a 2-week vacation. It's so surprising that out of nowhere, when you have votes scheduled, people are expecting this thing to happen, and then all of a sudden, Mike Johnson's like, nope. We're not going to do it. Not going to vote on it. We're going to go take an extra little vacation. Hope you have a great time. This right here, guys, is why we can't get things done. Somebody is pulling the strings. Somebody's getting paid. I promise you, somebody needs to get fired. The votes were quietly canceled. Leadership has to change because it's not just on the Democrat side, guys. This is on the Republican side as well. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, we are exposing everybody, guys. I don't care who you are. If you're not America First, if you're not putting the things in place the right way, we're going to call you out.
So they're not interested in solving any problems. And so when somebody like Donald Trump comes along and just says, no, actually, you know what? I want to make these things work. I want to solve these problems. It's like it's a breath of fresh air. We can't even believe it that it's going on in Washington. And he has created this unbelievable movement that is not only going on right now, but I think going forward into the future, he's created an army of Trump agenda supporters that I think are going to be a durable power in Washington for probably for many, many years.
You're on fire. The thing that Trump did is he came in and both parties had agreed not to solve the border, the debt, entitlements,
Totally.
pretty much everything. And so he came in and starts fixing things, and it's screwing Washington. It is screwing Washington. And that's why they all hate him.
Yep.
Because he's doing the things they campaign on and raise money on, and he's making it look easy. Doge, the border. It's almost like you're not supposed to do this in D.C. And like the game's up.
Guys, think about it. Who was the establishment before? It was Jeb Bush. It was, I would even still say kind of Lindsey Graham. It was all these people, Liz Cheney, all of them that were essentially the establishment Republicans. Trump comes in, starts fixing things like nobody's business, and everybody's like, oh, it was this easy to fix it? It was this easy to close the border? It was this easy to fix tariffs? It was this easy to build the economy and get investments in? And it just shows you right now, guys, Washington, D.C. is a scam right now for elitists, for people that feel like and think that they're better than us. And this is where Trump being in there is so important, because he's not just going against Democrats. He's going against everybody. If you're not America first, you are getting ousted by Trump.
And then you wind up not only the leader of the Republican Party, but also the leader of the Democrat Party, because no matter what sensible, intelligent thing Donald Trump says, Democrats are suddenly opposed to it. Oh, cutting waste, waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. Democrats are now the party in favor defending waste, fraud, and abuse. That used to be a talking point that everybody agreed to, that they were against. But now that Donald Trump is actually doing something about it, the Democrats are actually defending it. It's insane. Or separating children at the border. You got Rosa DeLauro defending separating children at the border now. It's insane.
So we're going to have this big military parade in D.C. And we're going to celebrate America's 250th birthday pretty soon. And the Democrats are going to say fireworks are racist.
Now they're against that.
They're going to say we can't celebrate the military, and they're going to protest it. I don't think.
How in the world, in the United States, we have the veterans, the military, celebrating this huge, just, hey, we're going to celebrate our veterans, we're going to celebrate our military, we're going to throw a parade for them, this is going to be big, it's going to be huge, and now the Democrats are saying it's wasting money. We're going to protest it. Fireworks and all that stuff, it's from a time of the revolution and they were racist back then, so it's racist now. Guys, you cannot make this stuff up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm so sick and tired of hearing Democrats literally going against everything that Trump does, no matter what, even when it comes to honoring veterans. Like, are you kidding me? And I just want to say thank you to every veteran, everybody that has served in this chat, guys, who watches these videos. We thank you for your service, so we honor you.
Anything's guaranteed. They might not win the midterms at all. I shouldn't say that. I don't want a red wave, but, the way they're going.
Suddenly they're all concerned about austerity. They don't want to spend too much money on a military parade.
Right, after $2 million for sex changes.
Is so smarter. Yeah, exactly. But if you polled all of America, they'd be like, hell yeah, I want to see this military that I'm paying all this money for. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love jets. I love tanks. I want to see them all.
In Eisenhower's, I guess, swearing-in day, in his inauguration, they had tanks. They had missiles. They had military marching through the streets of Washington in the bitter cold, and people loved it. They had an elephant in a cage. That's how fun it was.
Dude, there's a reason why we always fire cannons at every inauguration on Capitol Hill, because that's what we love. Americans love a good explosion of gunfire, cannonades going straight down the National Mall. That's what I'm here for, and that's what I think everybody else is here for.
I mean, it's the Star-Spangled Banner. It's the lyrics. Precisely. Charlie, great to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Guys, let me tell you this. Again, we go back to what the heck is going on right now in Congress. Speaker Johnson just canceled a crucial vote this week to slash $9.3 billion in wasteful spending, including $8.3 billion from USAID and $1.1 billion from NPR and PBS. Well, guess what? Congress just announced that they're going to take, Johnson is preparing to recess the House for another 4-day vacation. Where did this come out of? Because they had it on the docket. They had it scheduled. And it blows my mind that out of nowhere, Johnson comes in and says, oh, we're just going to, we're going to cancel this. Listen to this. The Trump-backed Doge plan led by Elon Musk exposed the port, but spineless rhinos quietly killed the vote this week. I don't understand what's going on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Trump is doing everything that he can. Elon Musk is doing everything that he can. The guy who's supposed to be on their team to actually codify these laws so that wasteful spending is gone forever. Because remember, Trump just stopped it. If a Democrat gets into presidency in 2028, they can re-enable all this wasteful spending to USAID and everybody. Right now, if we don't codify this now, we may not ever get a chance. Let me know your thoughts. Andy, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Said AG needs to release whatever she has daily on this pervert elites and charge them on the spot with crimes against children. What is she waiting for? That the files disappear? Something's happening, guys. I'm going to show you something in a moment. Y'all show Andy some love in the chat. This right here, I'm telling you guys, things are going to be released today. I want you to see this and hear this because this guy, today, what we're hearing, this is about, they said, the biggest scandal ever. The biggest, exposure of fraud ever.
Our reports, and there's supposedly the first tranche of it's coming out today, that James O'Keefe's, one of the two big stories he's breaking is about someone in the Trump administration covering up Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
And then he put out a little short trailer yesterday that shows an image or still shot of video of Pam Bondi. So he didn't tell me the specifics. When he called me and me alone as a dead man switch, so I was, I guess, flattered by him. He's like, I think you might be the only person that I know has the integrity to tell this in case something happens. And then when he told me, I was like, yeah, you are in danger, buddy.
Guys, let me tell you this. For Alex Jones to say that is a big, big deal. To say that this guy who's about to expose some deep state stuff is in danger, and he's, giving the story to Alex Jones so that if he doesn't even make it, that Alex Jones can release the news. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I believe there is some huge, just spies in a sense within the Trump administration. And that's why we have not seen what we were supposed to see, what Trump expected us to see. Trump still doesn't even know all the details of the assassination attempt on his life from the FBI. That's how deep the deep state is.
The other stuff, too. But he wouldn't even say who in the administration. I made some phone calls, and I told the crew over the weekend, I said, it's Pam Bondi. According to my sources. And because the White House already knows about this.
Dang.
So I wouldn't even tell the crew last week what the specifics were because I don't want to endanger them.
Oh my goodness.
And then there are two other big stories, and it looks like in this little promo video that he put out, he's kind of putting the three together because it's a big Pfizer news. And then some more Epstein news connected to the Democrats. But I'm going to stop right there. And
guys,
wait and see what he puts out today. So we're going to be watching, obviously, his X account, Keith Media.
Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is huge, guys. We're going to be all over it. We want you to see the truth. We want you to see what's going on. We want to bring the full context. But right now, what you're about to see next, and guys, I'm telling you, there is a lot of people. We just had yesterday the huge first lawsuit against the Supreme Court from our boy Miller, who is on Trump's team. We now have Tom Fitton, who's suing the FBI, the DOJ. Everybody is coming in because we're trying to expose the deep state. Trump knows if it doesn't happen now, it may never happen. Listen to this, guys. And if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, we're here to show you everything, to show you the full truth, guys.
Thank you for coming by. This is one of the busiest guys in D.C. I just want to reiterate the Fenton recommendation to the President of the United States, to our Chief Magistrate and Chief Law Enforcement Officer, which be the guy that occupies the Oval Office. You're recommending a appointment of a special prosecutor, special counsel. You're saying, if you go back and look at the Constitution and by custom and tradition, that you believe that President Trump should keep open the possibility of appointing himself, maybe with a Matt Gaetz as a deputy. Is that what I'm hearing?
Or Jeff Clark or Rudy. He could bring Rudy back in as a deputy. He's as sharp as a tack and has more experience.
I love this so much. I want to make sure you and I are, because we go back a long way. We're not trolling here. This is serious.
No.
Because when you say Trump is special prosecutor, Gaetz, Clark, Rudy, they're literally going to explode.
Yeah,
they're going to lose it.
The point is,
They would
I'm
lose
highlighting, there's kind of like, oh, that would be the perfect response, right? But there are responses short of that. And I'm highlighting for your listeners and the American people, educating them on the powers of the presidency. And Attorney General Bondi can get support from the president to get this done. He can, like, short of this, just direct the Attorney General to engage in the criminal investigations and any resulting prosecutions and manage it as closely as he wants. This fake constitutional construct that the left has stuffed down our throats to justify their attacks on Nixon.
It's a total lie.
Is not only a lie, but it's a dangerous lie, because it gives that awesome power of prosecution to unelected bureaucrats or people who aren't subjected to the checks the founders intended to have in place, meaning the president running the show.
Very powerful.
Guys, and you don't think that Trump has his people out there finding the corruptness? This just broke, guys. Y'all know who Attorney General Ken Paxton is? He just announced that 6 individuals, including a judge, left-wing judge, have been indicted and arrested, finally, arrested for election-related crimes tied to a vote harvesting scheme in Texas. Attorney General Ken Paxton, 6 generals, including a judge, have been indicted and arrested over a vote harvesting scheme and election-related crimes. Guys, this fraud and corruption is out there. Trump has his team going after them. But the problem is we don't have Pam Bondi going after these people like she should, or we haven't even seen that much from Kash Patel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Tom Fitton, and once again, a big focus of that should be on the administrative and the deep state, to focus this, because we've got a one-time shot. That is one of the, you believe, the most significant threat to this republic.
Well, we had a collusion and abuse of power to undo a presidential election, an attempt to undo a presidential election or rig it in 2024. And part of that was not only the actual rigging by putting the candidate in jail and constraining him during the campaign, but also to curtail any questions or election integrity activity by the opposition, by suggesting anyone who does that will go to jail. And that's why they criminalized the First Amendment and executive power related under the Constitution, as far as the president was concerned, activities questioning the 2020 election. It was about making sure those people wouldn't show up on 2024 and raise questions. And it didn't work. It didn't work because groups like Judicial Watch, we weren't cowed. Trump wasn't cowed. The American people rejected it outright. And, they tried, but they failed. And it doesn't mean they won't try again. And they will try again unless there are consequences. And certainly not doing an investigation is not what the American people expected out of this Justice Department and FBI. And now they say maybe there's something going on secretly we don't know about. And that just sounds very Q-like to me, and I don't buy it.
It's also, because those buildings haven't changed, because it'll take you a while to change them, you got to get on with this. Your point is exactly. Pam and cash they got so much going on. And those buildings aren't with them. So the best that just be some marginal thing. This is where he said it's their reason for being. The special prosecutor is solely to do this and to report to the president directly.
It lifts the burden from the FBI and Justice Department so Cash can spend his time decimating the FBI, shuttering it so that the only people left are him and a skeleton crew.
I agree. You and I totally agree on this. The FBI's got to be broken apart, right?
You hear that, guys?
There's nothing the FBI does that can't be done by another federal agency.
Better and with more focus. Tom Fenton, where do you go for social media? Amazing.
Well, we're at Judicial.
Guys, let me tell you this, guys. Again, when we look at the facts, what I'm about to show you next, guys, we're digging in deep. This right here, the exposure of what's happening with the Epstein files, what's happening with Kash Patel, the FBI. I don't doubt that Kash Patel's a good guy. I don't doubt that, I don't know, I'm halfway on Pam Bondi right now with the news that just broke today. But there's so much deep staters that are still there from previous administrations. They have to clean house and they have to break it apart with what I'm about to show you here. Andy, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said these files are used to blackmail politicians and elite perverts too. 100%. Fred Samuel, let's go, said O'Keefe is going to bring the hammer on these people. Yes, and man, we're going to be reporting it, guys. Y'all show Fred and Andy some love in the chat, as well as What's New, who said our party must have Trump loyalists. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And thank you so much, Lady Trucker, for the super chat. Said Pam Bondi question. I'm telling you guys, I want you to hear from her herself. Look at her mannerisms. Look at how she reacts. Because I'm telling you, when she gets asked the question, this happened this morning over what Comer said, that the Epstein files were destroyed, that they were lost, that look at how she reacts. Guys, this is not normal. Y'all show Lady Trucker What's New some love in the chat, as well as Andy and Fred. Check this out.
Migrant flight to Libya might be on board.
You'll have to talk to the Secretary of State.
James Comer said yesterday that all the Epstein files are missing. Firm fix of it. They still have to confirm you.
No, the FBI, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
Martin seems to be facing.
You see how she just said that? Like, I'll call him later and find out. Let me tell you this. You don't need, if you can put out the names and you can put out who the criminals are, you don't need to essentially have a big showdown. You just need to say, look, these are the people. These are the people that we're going after. These are the indictments. We'll proceed forward as we continue to investigate. But they know the names, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. They know the names. And I got to call them out right here, too. So, again, we just told you that Mike Johnson has canceled the votes for this week. He's putting them on another 4-day vacation. And now the Senate GOP, the Senate, just called out the House GOP, saying they're not being nearly aggressive enough on spending cuts because of this right here, guys. Speaker Johnson just canceled a crucial vote to slash $9.3 billion in wasteful spending, including $8.3 billion from USAID and $1.1 billion from NPR and PBS. Why did he just all of a sudden cancel it? It just shows us, guys, that some of these people don't seem serious enough about codifying Trump's executive orders. We do not know if we're going to have the House next year in the midterms. And so things have to get done now. We have to see things done now because the judges ain't stopping, guys. Listen to this. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, our boy Jim Jordan is on the fight, but he cannot do it himself because he's not the speaker. Check this out.
So we're talking about judges here now, and we've got Congressman Jim Jordan, who's the head of the Judiciary Committee, and I know you guys have been looking, a lot at these activist judges. Talk about the problem that it is and what we're doing about it.
Well, the fundamental problem is exactly what the president said. He put his name on the ballot. He got elected by we the people. He gets to make the calls as the guy who runs the executive branch, not some unelected federal district judge who somehow thinks they're equivalent to the president of the United States. So that's, the left always wants the unelected to make the calls, the Faucis and the Boasbergs. They want them making the judgments and the decisions, not the people who put their name on the ballot, but that's not how our system works. So we've actually sent a letter to the court. We're kind of curious about how Judge Boasberg gets all these cases. You know, he was the guy who was on the FISA court when they spied on President Trump's campaign. He was the judge that oversaw Kevin Kleinsmith's case, the guy who altered a document, lied to the court, the FISA court. He oversaw that case. He was the judge who said, turn the plane around, bring the bad guy back who's a member of a gang, who did terrible things, who's here illegally. And he's also now the judge who gets randomly assigned the Signalgate case against Secretary Hegseth. So we wrote the court and said, you know, how does it all work out? How does this random assignment process work? Because we're concerned about the same thing President Trump was talking about.
There's been concerns about, you know, like a judiciary that can, you know, weaponize itself. This is not a new problem in this country. This is not a new fear that judges could, you know, you know, exaggerate their power, however you want to say it. I can't get the wording right, but you know, this is not a new. And I guess I wonder when does the Supreme Court jump in and do something about these district judges that think that they have power over the whole country?
No, great question.
And guys, remember, I'm super happy because again, we're gonna keep following this. We now know that the America First Legal has launched their first lawsuit against Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts over how is it possible that all these rogue judges can still continue to control a sitting president, but at the same time too, how is it possible that Boasberg keeps getting all of Trump's cases? Out of all the district court judges in DC, how does he continue to keep getting these cases? It doesn't make any sense. There has to be some collusion, corruption somewhere.
I do think some of these cases are going to get to the Supreme Court in a pretty quick manner, pretty quick time frame. And, you know, Justice Roberts put out a statement a month or so ago about, you know, the proper course of action is if you don't like the decision of a district judge is to, you know, use the appellate courts. And I get all that, but I think his statement just sort of underscores the focus that's now on this issue. And we've taken legislative action in the House. We passed a legislation that said one of these federal district judges who issues an injunction, the injunction shouldn't apply nationwide. It should apply to the parties in that case, in that jurisdiction, not to the entire country. And even Justice Kagan had talked about this phenomena a few years back. So we think there's a chance that that bill hopefully can get through the Senate and get signed by President Trump and scale some of this back, some of the power that these district judges have currently.
Yeah, and hopefully relatively soon, because as we know, it's not a lot of time for them to do some of this important work, and they're getting kind of stalled out. And I think that's exactly the point of why they're doing all this. I want to ask you about this. Tish James, the New York Attorney General, the one that famously went after Trump over nothing, built her whole campaign on getting Trump, and then throws a nonsense case to try and derail him. Well, she's facing a lot of you know, some allegations as well. The irony of that not lost on anybody, but she has a new lawsuit against the president. Take a listen.
Today, I am announcing a lawsuit to stop the most sweeping and unlawful assault on public health in our nation's history. This administration has taken a wrecking ball to the Department of Health and Human Services. In just a few short weeks, this administration has unraveled decades of progress.
What's your reaction to Tish James at this point?
I don't know that anybody takes her serious. We know how ridiculous the case was that she brought against President Trump. And of course, the irony with her is now it's being alleged that she did some of the same kind of things that she falsely accused President Trump of doing. You know, it turns out, Rob, you know, if you're the Attorney General of New York, you can't have your principal residence in Virginia. So there's three now. I haven't seen it, so I don't know for sure, but it's been said that, alleged that she has said things on various forms trying to get better terms, better rate on loans regarding 3 different properties. So one it's alleged that she said her dad was actually her husband. Another one, she claimed her principal residence was in Virginia versus New York, where she's the Attorney General. Yeah. So this lady has got all kinds of concerns that have been raised. We'll see how it all shakes out. But now she's bringing another action against President Trump. Just, again, shows you, I think, how crazy the left has become in what they try to do.
Guys, let me tell you this. You know how pathetic this is, guys? Let me show you this right here. Right now, Democrats literally passed a bill with hidden language in it to force New York taxpayers to pay for Letitia James' mortgage fraud trial. So, the very person that went against Trump for essentially accusing him of mortgage fraud has now been accused herself of mortgage fraud. But guess what? She doesn't have to foot the bill. The taxpayers of New York have to. Guys, Democrats always find a way to skate by. So slimy, so sleazy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, because this is so crazy. Like, you can't make this up. If this wasn't the real news, you would think it was out of a fictional book, that she doesn't even have to pay for her legal bills now for a crime that she allegedly committed. Peter Ortiz, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said, why would Bondi cover up anything and believe she and Cash aren't doing their jobs is crazy. This last week, they busted over 200 pedophiles. Epstein files can wait a while. Who is stronger than her? Comment, Alex is not reliable. Hey, y'all show Peter some love in the chat, as well as Lady Trucker, who said James O'Keefe has gone dark. He is not suicidal, and he is releasing a video today regarding the Epstein files, Pfizer, and says this will shudder the world. People will be destroyed. Guys, y'all show Peter and Lady Trucker some love in the chat, as well as Lori for upgrading her membership. Guys, let me tell you this. I've learned enough with everything that I've seen that you can't trust any of these people. Right now, Tom Tillis, who's supposed to be MAGA, who's supposed to be for Trump, won't vote for Trump's U.S. attorney, which is now going to allow Boasberg, who hates Trump, who's literally putting all these lawsuits against Trump, all these TROs against Trump, to be able to choose the attorney that he wants to be in D.C. instead of Trump's attorney. Listen to this, guys, because, again, people are getting exposed. The truth is the truth. The facts are the facts. We're going to expose them. Let me know your thoughts. But it's blowing my mind what we're seeing. And again, too, every single day it seems like there's something new.
Are those that go to their voters and say, I am MAGA. I am Tom Tillis. I stand with President Trump. I represent the red state of North Carolina. Whoa. And then you go and vote this way? Unacceptable. And it gets even worse than that. Tom Tillis voted for Matthew Graves. So Tom Tillis, this is what is so incomprehensible. Tom Tillis voted for Biden's DC U.S. attorney, but he won't vote for Trump's U.S. attorney.
Right there, guys.
Tillis approved Tony Blinken. He voted for Janet Yellen. He voted for Lloyd Austin. He voted for Gina Raimondo. He voted for Lisa Monaco, the number 2 at DOJ. He voted for Pete Buttigieg. And then, of course, Merrick Garland and Matthew Graves. But he won't lift a finger to vote for Ed Martin. And to be honest...
Right here.
Before I saw the tape, I thought that Tom Tillis's reason he did not vote for Ed Martin would be like, oh, he was too radical because he was part of the Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Something like that. I anticipated that. Or he had some social media post that I don't like. But the reason he gave was that, I want every single person who breached the perimeter to go to jail from 30 days to 3 years. I'm sorry, breaching the perimeter, Mr. Tillis? This was not Normandy Beach. The vast majority of people on January 6th, the vast majority waltzed in through an open door. Now, if Tom Tillis's argument would have been, look, I'm still undecided. I think Ed Martin is a little too relaxed on January 6th. It was hard for us. The violent people shouldn't gotten pardons, but I'm going to try to work through it. That's reasonable. But his argument of all the reasons that you could oppose Ed Martin is that you want to put the people, look, that's a perfect clip. Thank you, guys. Great poll. Tom Tillis's argument is all those people who are just walking as if they're trying to board a Delta Airlines flight, that they should all go to jail from 30 days to 3 years? Look, they're opening the interior of the doors. And I'm not discounting that everybody on January 6th acted properly. Of course not. There were some people that acted improperly. But this is Tom Tillis's argument. His argument is that I'm going to oppose Ed Martin because he does not publicly say that every one of these people should serve huge life sentences. And then the most obvious objection that I would then have for Tom Tillis is, why is this at all applicable? They all got pardons. So why is that question even relevant towards his potential DC U.S. attorney?
Guys, I'm telling you guys, how could you vote for all of Biden's nominees? Merrick Garland, Pete Buttigieg, all these people, when Trump, this is a nomination pick from Trump himself, says, hey, put this person in place. He says, no, we're not going to do it. This is where I start to question people, guys. I am at the point now where I'm like, you know what? Trump is cleaning up big time. He is literally like, I love it because I get to show you these polls from CNN of where Trump is just kicking butt, especially Biden's butt, when it comes to all of America. But what blows my mind is that, again, we keep having these Republicans that are supposedly rhino. Now they're exposing themselves, and they need to be primary. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but also let me know your thoughts about this.
All right, net approval rating handling crime. What do we have here? We have a positive rating for Donald Trump, even in the most recent polling. Look at that, at plus 2 points. Far better than Joe Biden, who was so far underwater. My goodness, he was setting records at minus 26 points. You rarely ever see it. So Donald Trump ran in part on law and order. It was one of the reasons that he got elected. And at this particular point, Americans like what they're hearing from him on the issue of crime. And you see this right here with a plus 2 net approval rating, far better than Joe Biden left office with back in 2020.
Negative 26 for Biden on handling crime, plus 2 for Trump on handling crime. And guys, I want you to see this too, because again, our boy Stephen Miller, I think this is the guy that, I mean, he has literally been essentially one of Trump's right-hand man to actually go after the corruption, filing the first lawsuit against the Supreme Court. This to me matters, guys. Listen to this.
And as the president really interestingly always says, I don't blame them for ripping off America and our predecessors because they allowed it to happen. However, if you're going to be a good ally, we should have free and fair trade, especially with Canada. They should control their northern border. They should contribute their fair share to NATO. These are not draconian requests that we have here.
Well, first of all, I had the pleasure of getting to be at the meeting today between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Canada. What I witnessed was like watching a grandmaster in chess perform. President Trump has opened up a completely new relationship with Canada because of his strength and because of his diplomacy. The Prime Minister of Canada talked about finally contributing their fair share to our nation's defense, or to NATO's defense. Finally contributing and meeting that minimum 2% benchmark and climbing up from there, so they're not a free rider with the United States anymore. He talked about achieving fair trade with the United States and acknowledged, the Prime Minister of Canada acknowledged the need to strike a fair trade deal with the United States, as President Trump has long asked for. He emphasized, the Prime Minister...
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, guys, finally putting America in a good place and not being ripped off by every other country in the world.
Canada, his deployment of troops and guards to the Canadian border at President Trump's request to keep fentanyl out of the United States of America. It's just one concrete win after another because of President Trump's leadership on this issue. And President Trump kept emphasizing two words. We want friendship with Canada, but we also insist upon and demand fairness from Canada. And President Trump will continue to hold fast to that requirement.
All right, let's look around the globe. The president has taken on really big issues of international security. We seem to be at the point with the Ukrainians making the mineral deal with the president, that the ball is now in Putin's court. And Crimea was annexed in 2014. That's off the table. Probably the Donbass region, which had been heavily populated by Russians anyway, that probably is not part of the deal. However, there will be security guarantees for Ukraine. They will have money through the minerals deal to rebuild their country. Between that and the latest in Gaza, the Middle East, and this upcoming trip, can you give us a preview of that too?
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, so when President Trump left the White House in 2021, the world was at peace. Peace in Europe, peace in Asia, peace in the Middle East. President Trump comes back 4 years later after 4 years of Democrat rule and Biden rule. And we have war in Israel and Gaza. We have Iran marching towards a nuclear weapon and spreading instability around the globe. We have the Houthis in Yemen that are shooting at our ships, shooting at our technology, shooting at passenger and commercial vessels, right? We have China increasingly on the rise, stealing American industry, stealing American technology. You go all, and of course we have the disastrous war in Ukraine. War after war, conflict after conflict, problem after problem. President Trump comes in and immediately begins taking action to fix each and every one of these fires that the Democrats started, that Joe Biden started. So we are pursuing, under President Trump's vision and leadership, as you mentioned, a path towards peace in Europe. And very important, that mineral deal will repay the United States over time for all of the money that it has spent on that war. Of course, we're all familiar with the steps President Trump has taken and is taking to deal with the threat of a nuclear-armed Iran. Just today, President Trump announced that the Houthis have said that they will not shoot at American ships, they will not shoot at American military as a result of the bombardment campaign that President Trump authorized and led. A major victory for U.S. foreign policy.
Let's go.
And now President Trump is about to head out on his first foreign trip as a state-level trip to Saudi Arabia after taking the oath of office. And I mean, obviously he went on the foreign trip for the funeral, but the first foreign diplomatic trip since becoming president. And that trip is going to emphasize not only the incredible commercial deals and investment in the United States as a result of President Trump's economic agenda and a result of his unleashing of American prosperity, but will also lay out the framework that President Trump led in his first term towards peace and security, towards fighting violent extremism and uniting with countries around the globe in our shared interests of harmony and stability and security. And that's another example of how President Trump is continuing to lead the entire world towards a more secure future after 4 years of fire, flame, and disaster under Joe Biden.
From the three countries he'll be going to see, combined $3 trillion in promised investments over the next 4 years, a massive amount on top of $5 trillion.
Huge win for America.
It's huge. I mean, trillions of dollars, that's hundreds and
Under
hundreds
President
of thousands
Trump, everyone wants to do business in America, Sean. Everyone wants to do business here. Low regs, low taxes, cheap energy, and a winning president. Everyone wants to do business now in America, Sean.
Stephen Miller, great.
Guys, again, Stephen Miller, homeboy's just killing it right now. And I'm just upset, guys. I'm just like, when I show you this stuff, right here from the leading report, we just told you this a while ago, 6 individuals, including a judge, have been indicted and arrested for election-related crimes tied to a vote harvesting scheme in Frio County, Texas. Attorney General Ken Paxton announced Trump has some very, very true patriots across the country making things happen. But what are we seeing from our GOP? Not much, guys, because this right here, when you decide to take an extra vacation out of nowhere and cancel crucial votes, I got a problem with that. Lay Lewis, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Said Tish is too dumb, too cocky, and has too wobbly eyes. Woo! Yeah, y'all show Lay some love in the chat. Scott Matthews said God is watching over us. Show Scott and Lay some love in the chat. As well as Larry Pickett said God bless America, Mr. Norby. And thank you so much, Scott, for the super chat again. And Geoff Poffreeman, guys, show Geoff some love in the chat. Because again, too, guys, when we look at where the scope is at, listen to this, guys, because again, too, common sense. There are Democrats that are moving over to Trump's side. And I would say, like, these people have already spoken out against Trump, but they are now gaining influence and literally could be moving in terms of a new party. Guys, coming out of the Democratic Party. Let me know your thoughts. Listen to this. Because this is, remember, one of the front runners for the Democratic presidential nominee in 2028.
Whether you're an elected politician or you're somebody that's going to have to do business with him, you're going to have to recognize you're going to have to appease him to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to do that. I've been critical of him for years. But he was nice on News Nation. You know why? I said, good evening, Mr. President. Good to talk to you. Something as simple as that. Remember when he was at the NABJ, National Association for Black Journalists over the summer? And Rachel Scott did a phenomenal job interviewing her. She asked the right questions. She asked the questions that people wanted to know. But what did Trump say? That's just a nasty, nasty question. You didn't even say hello. How are you?
You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
See what I'm saying? You don't even say, hello, how are you? It matters.
Yes,
to
it does.
Him.
Guys.
And that's not to say that there's a reason or justification for doing any of the things that he may have done or will continue to do. It's just knowing the hand that you're dealt and knowing who you're dealing with. And that's what you're going to have to learn about him, if you don't already know. If you want to do business with him, you're going to have to make sure that you're ready to engage in some level of capitulation.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's something as simple as being well-mannered. If you are an elected official and you...
Guys, as crazy as it is to say, just being well-mannered is something that you have to essentially ask for nowadays. Because again, too, guys, respectfully, he holds the seat of the president. Even when Biden, he was the president. Look, whether we agreed with him or not, there is a level of respect that you give to the seat of the office. Now, this is the common sense that even Stephen A. is coming out and trying to say, but it's crazy that Democrats don't even care anymore, but that's why they keep losing. They've gone so far left that nothing matters to them. Rules don't matter to them. Filters don't matter to them on just being a cordial human being when you're talking to the former president of the United States and now sitting president.
You have to work on behalf of your constituency, and you're going to have to cross that aisle. It can't be imitating Mitch McConnell when Barack Obama was in office and he said our goal here is to make him a one-term president. That's not going to fly with this guy. He's got the House, he's got the Senate, he's got the White House. He's got the Supreme Court. 6-3 majority. You're going to have to figure out a way to do something to get a semblance of what you want. That is the way that it goes, whether you like it or not.
Guys, is this not common sense? Now, I got to show you, because again, I'm always hearing, guys, I'm always trying to hear and read between the lines when it comes to Mike Johnson, when it comes to how he's presenting himself, how he's answering these questions, what's going to happen. Listen to this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, we, again, have to hold these people accountable, have to call them out, because when enough people hear the truth, things will change. Listen to this.
That'll take a few questions. Olivia, yeah.
As you head into the final sort of stretch for reconciliation, members, centrists, conservatives seem to have a very different expectation of what the final product is going to look like. Have you made assurances, have you made promises that you can't keep to different members as this process begins to wrap?
No, I don't make promises I can't keep. This is a consensus building operation, as you know, and it's member driven, bottom up, and every single member of the conference has had many opportunities and has more this week to weigh in and let their preferences be known. This is about balancing preferences. I mean, no one's going to be surprised. Everybody knows where the touch points are on the final details of the final analysis. And we've been working really hard to take all the input and find that kind of equilibrium point where everybody is at least satisfied. Some people are not going to be elated by every provision of the bill. It's impossible. The bill's one big, beautiful bill. It's a big piece of legislation. There's a lot in it. So there's always going to be things page by page. Somebody can go through a large bill and find things that they're not, that they would have preferred to be handled another way. But in its totality, this is going to be the most important, most consequential legislation that we'll ever be involved in our lifetimes, and arguably one of the biggest in the history of Congress. And so I think at the end of the day, we'll get that consensus. And, you know, there may be some grumbling about certain provisions, but as the whip said so aptly this morning in the conference meeting, he said, you gotta focus on the totality of the bill and not just individual details. But my job is to work out those details. And
Guys, focusing on the totality of the bill has gotten us $37 trillion in debt. Focusing on the details and all the pork and all the extra little crap that they put into there has gotten us $37 trillion in debt. Again, like I told you, reading between the lines. What is he not saying that he's really saying? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Very confident that we're going to get to that point by the end of this week, and we'll move this thing forward. So, yeah. Second row.
Thank you. Last week, the House passed 3 CRA resolutions terminating California vehicle emissions rules, but Senate Majority Leader John Thune is yet to make a decision to take out those resolutions or not. How confident are you that congressional Republicans can get these resolutions to the president's desk?
I've got a lot of confidence in Leader Thune. We work together very closely, almost daily, and he's managing a small margin as I am. Both of us now have 3 votes to spare. It's an embarrassment of riches, so he's got to do consensus building on it as well. I suspect every Republican's for that, but of course he's got to get about 7 Democrats to come along on everything, and that's the tough part. And Leader Schumer over there and the Democrats have made very clear they don't have much intention of getting anything done at all. They just want to stop all the progress. And I know a lot of Californians that are very excited, very happy that we took that big step, and I hope the Senate can get it done, but I don't know what their time frame is. Front row.
Speaker Johnson, How do you use reconciliation to remove illegal immigrants from Medicaid, and how do you confidently estimate the savings from that?
Well, it's not my estimation. I mean, these numbers come from the CBO and very credible sources. We have a pretty accurate count, we think, of how many are on the rolls in some of these states, and now we have a tabulation of what it will save the taxpayers to kick them off. And as I mentioned, I mean, public polling is squarely on our side on this. I mean, you cannot have an open doormat. You can't have an open border. Thankfully, President Trump has closed it now. But for 4 years, it was wide open, and we sent the message to everybody around the world, come here and you can get on the taxpayers' wagon, and that's just not, it's not right, it's not lawful, it's not morally correct. And we're gonna fix it in reconciliation. So stay tuned. There'll be a lot of savings for the American people, and I think it'll be wildly popular when we get it done. Yeah, back third row. Yeah.
So some of your colleagues have suggested this week that D.C. District Judge James Boasberg is being assigned a disproportionate number of quote high-profile cases.
Right here, guys.
What is your take on that? Is it the view of House Republicans that the D.C. federal court isn't following judicial conference policy for random assignment on cases?
That's the first I've heard of the allegation, to be honest. I mean, I was a federal court litigator, and I don't have any evidence that they're, it's supposed to be a random drawing, and so far as I know, that's what's happening. I mean, we do have real concern about that individual judge and some of the decisions he's made. But look, I mentioned this to some colleagues this morning. When I used to litigate cases, I would run into activist judges on occasion, but I never walked out of the courthouse thinking that I would have the ability to impeach them. I just thought I need to get this to the appellate court as soon as possible to get them overturned, and we had a great success rate in that. Activist judges need to be addressed, and we passed the No Rogue Rulings Act a few weeks ago, Darrell Iss's bill, that would really solve that problem in a silver bullet. That's another thing we really hope the Senate can move. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. I mean, everybody, Republicans and Democrats, should want fair judges. I mean, that's our system of equal justice depends upon that, and it's gotten out of control. So I don't know. There are lots of allegations and concerns about it, but I haven't seen any proof of that. So yeah, go ahead. Jake.
You were asked about the Senate, what you expect the Senate to do with your reconciliation bill in the conference today. Will they just change a bunch of the stuff? And I think there's a concern about that from a lot of your members. I mean, give me your sense. I mean, how much we talk about your coordination with Boone. How much do you think, or how much do you expect the Senate will want to put its own imprint on this?
Well, look, we got some strong leaders in the Senate. They're all friends and colleagues of ours. We truly regard this as one team. I know that's an innovation in Washington. I know the House and Senate are supposed to be fighting each other all the time, but that's not the game we're playing. And I've been very deliberate, and Leader Thune has as well, to have no daylight between the two chambers. So there shouldn't be any big surprises. I mean, they're following very closely what we're doing, and vice versa. But the lion's share of the work has been done in the House, not by virtue of pride of authorship or because there's a competition between the two chambers, but just because that's the way the calendar fell. Remember, we started working on this in March of last year, and the Senate was going through lots of other things during that time period. They had a change in their leadership because Leader McConnell stepped down. They had a lot of turnover there. And they had to do, at the beginning of the first 100 days, they had to, of course, do all the confirmations of the administration, and they did it in record time to their great credit. But by virtue of that calendar, it meant that the House did a ton of the work. I mean, we're probably 8 months ahead of the Senate by some measures in all the deliberations and the detail work. So that, by necessity, means that we'll drive the initial product and send it over. And that's really the way the system is supposed to work anyway on a budget reconciliation. So we're going to be very proud of the product we send over there. I don't expect that it will take much modification. I hope that there's very little at all, and that we can have an agreement. But the difference now and in years past, perhaps, is that our colleagues over there know exactly what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're in careful, close communication, and with the White House team as well. So we're not sending over some package, that they'll receive blindly and not know what's in it. Everybody knows.
Guys, listen to this, because I just want to say this real quick if you didn't know. So the House of Representatives, where they're at, Mike Johnson and all them, is supposed to represent the people, propose and pass laws, controls the federal budget, and initiates impeachment. The Senate represents states equally. That's why there's only 2 senators per state. Approves or rejects laws, confirms appointments, ratifies treaties, and tries impeachment cases. And the executive branch, which is led by the president, enforces the laws, manages government operations, and conducts foreign policy and commands military. So with everything I just told you there in a short, sweet summary, think of how screwed up the things that we're dealing with right now are, because it's like nobody does what they're supposed to do, and then they fight Trump on everything that he is essentially given to him by his executive powers.
What we're working on and why, and the discussions we're having, and we're keeping them abreast of all of it. And if there are individual senators who have a problem, I'm apt to reach out to them myself, and committee chairs are as well. There's been very close coordination between the committee chairs on the matching jurisdictions on each side. So, look, I think that's going to make the process work really well in the end. That's my expectation.
Last question.
Back row.
I wanted to follow up on your comments about Congressman Iss's bill on judges. So, are judicial impeachments off the table for the rest of this Congress?
No, look, impeachments are never off the table if it's merited. But in our system, we've had 15 federal judges impeached in the entire history of the country. I mean, there may be some that I feel merit that, but you got to get the votes for it, right? And it's a very high burden, and frankly, the bar is high crimes and misdemeanors. I mean, the last federal judge was impeached, I think it was caught taking cash in an envelope. It's like, it's got to be a pretty brazen offense, a real open crime that everybody could agree to. So short of that, if we don't have the votes, and by the way, even if we could get an impeachment article through the House on a federal judge, it's unlikely that they would be tried and convicted in the Senate on that with the divided number we have. So Short of that, what can we do? I mean, we've done everything within our power to solve that problem. And remember the stats. I think it's 67% of all national injunctions issued against a president in the last 100 years or against one president, and his name's Donald J. Trump. 90% of those were from openly, Democrat-appointed judges that many would regard as this other judge as activists or people venue shop to get in their courts. So we all know it's a real problem. It's not what the Founding Fathers intended. So what can we do? Using our power in the House, Darrell Iss's bill is a great response. The No Rogue Rulings Act would prohibit a single individual judge from issuing a nationwide injunction like that to stop the entire policy of an administration. I think that is a very common sense standard, and one that would kind of get back to the original intent and eliminate the ability of just one activist to just stop everything. And it's very reasonable legislation. We passed it through the House. We sent it to the Senate with every expectation that they should be able to take that up. And I certainly hope they can, because, again, it shouldn't be a partisan issue. It should be something that every American agrees with. We've got to restore faith in our system of justice. And it was eroded over the last 4 years on the Biden administration for all the reasons we know, and have recounted here many times. And it falls to us to make sure that people can believe. Lady Justice has a blindfold for a reason, right? That the symbol is that it's equal justice under law, as it's chiseled into the marble above the Supreme Court's entrance when you walk in. We have to restore that. If you don't have the people's faith in a system of justice and fair judges, then you don't have anything in a republic. And that's why this is so important. We'll keep advancing it. Thanks so much for the time.
Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. Guys, we couldn't do this without you. Want to say, if you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family. We want to serve you every day with the top news. A lot of this stuff is getting deep, guys, and we just want to make sure the truth is getting out there. We want to show you all the context, all the receipts. It matters to us that we are moving forward and we're getting the truth out there. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, and thank you to everybody that has given today, guys. Want to say Larry Pickett, thank you so much for the super chat. He said, darn, April made me donate again. Michelle Faela said, family, it's time to start fighting back. Call your senators and congressmen. Also, Tillis office. I have 100%. And April Green, thank you so much, said, Johnson, stop giving extra days off. It's not like y'all get enough days off as it is. And Peter Ortiz said, show latest press conference with Bondi and Cash. We got you, brother. We'll show that tonight and get more into the details of what information is being released later today, guys. Lots of stuff is dropping, and I want to make sure we bring the full context. But do want to give some love also to Andy, Fred Samuel, What's New, Lady Trucker, Scott Matthews, again, Peter Ortiz. Y'all show Peter some love in the chat. Lori, guys, Lay Lewis, guys, Geoff Poffreyman. Guys, thank you so much to everybody who is watching. Want to say we couldn't do this without you. We're so grateful to serve you every day. Thank you for liking these videos, sharing these videos. And guys, sometimes we're always going to make sure we do 2 shows a day. If personal matters come up, if something happens, then we won't. But thank the Lord, we're always able to really do 2 shows a day. John Reppy said, MAGA, thank you so much for the super chat. Y'all show John some love in the chat. But just want to say thank you so much for your continued support. And guys, we're going to be busting our butt for y'all. We want to make sure there's a lot of news going on, a lot of history is being made right now to make sure that y'all are taken care of. We love you, appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one.